We are live. What's up, Solar Community, Solar Fam? Joe Moose here, and we got my good friend Jonathan Gibbs in the house, who is always offering so much value and help to the community. And he's back again to do the same thing. And we are going to be talking about how to make the most out of conferences. Hint, hint, SolarCon in a couple of weeks. And Jonathan is one of the best out there, one of the pros of making sure getting the most out of conferences, meetings and connections, and finding the products to add to his own business. So Jonathan, really appreciate you doing this. Appreciate you, man.
Always a good time. And it's really about giving back. I mean, I've gotten so much value, Joel, from your events myself in multiple companies now over the years, and on multiple fronts. So it's great to get on here and just share the value that I've personally experienced from these events, so that if some other people can benefit from it, great. April's a really important month, and people need the best data they can to know where to spend their time, because it's about we're about to get lit this summer for sure. This is going to be a great summer for solar.
Yes, this is going to be a big summer, and SolarCon is kind of like summer kickoff event for that, right?
For sure.
And a lot of people go to SolarCon excited, and they should be, and it's fun, and they're going to hang out with people they haven't seen in a while. But what happens is 3 days goes by like this, and then they go back and like, wait, did I missed the trainings? I missed the products. I didn't get everything I wanted to get out of it, and they kind of leave with maybe less flavor in their mouth. So I wanted to kind of go over ways to make sure that if you're going to go to SolarCon and you really want to make the most out of it, Jonathan here's going to be able to help you with some tips with that. What do you think?
Oh, I think it's great. And I think it's a really critical time. I think 2022 and 2023 were some of people's best years and some of people's most challenging years. And so, in restructuring, we all know that solar is on the verge of a major restructuring. So it's just never been more important to get like the most accurate and most relevant data, and to be at the forefront of those changes so that we can know how to navigate this year, like right now.
I love that. I know I wanted to start off, or you wanted to start off with a video with Jeff Bezos talking about being productive in the hours you have. Do you want to give us a preview of what you want that video is going to be about?
I think it's really good. So this is a game-changing video for me. When I watched this, like this was really a part of my time management when I built Lumio in 2021. I had a limited amount of time, and I was really pushing it to the edge. I knew it was a once in a life opportunity. I was spending 100 hours a week while keeping family commitments. There was no time. And so at some point, you just have to decide what to say yes to, what to say no to. And then you need to start developing processes to determine like how to spend your time, so that you know what to say yes and no to. And this was really big, because if you want to get the most out of your time, we all have the same amount of time, and we're all limited in time, right? We can't get more. This was really good. And it talks about sleep a lot, but there's a lot more to it than just sleep. And we can unpack it together at the end of the 2 minutes.
So it's 2 minutes. I think it'll go by fast though. So here we go.
And think about it, as a senior executive, what do you really get paid to do? As a senior executive, you get paid to make a small number of high quality decisions. Your job is not to make thousands of decisions every day. So let's say that I slept 6 hours a day, or let's go really crazy and say I slept 4 hours a day. So now I just got 4 so-called productive hours back. So if I was going to, have, say, 12 hours of productive time during any waking day, now all of a sudden I have 12 plus 4, I have 16 productive hours. So I have 33% more time to make decisions. So if I was going to make, 100 decisions, now I can make 133 decisions. By the way, if I did that arithmetic wrong, I'm sorry. And so you make 133 decisions. Is that really worth it if the quality of those decisions might be lower because you're tired or grouchy or any number of things? Now, it's different if it's a startup company. I mean, you're really, when Amazon was 100 people, it's a different story. But But Amazon's not a startup company, and all of our senior executives operate the same way I do. They work in the future, they live in the future. None of the people who report to me should really be focused on the current quarter. I always tell people, sometimes I get, we'll have a good quarterly conference call or something, and Wall Street will like our quarterly results, and people will stop me and say, congratulations on your quarter, and I say thank you. But what I'm really thinking is, that quarter was baked 3 years ago. Right now, I'm working on a quarter that's going to reveal itself in 2021 sometime. And that's what you need to be doing. You need to be out sort of, 2 or 3 years in advance. And and then why do I need to make 100 decisions a day? If I make like 3 good decisions a day, that's enough. And they should just be as high quality as I can make them. Warren Buffett says he's good if he makes 3 good decisions a year.
There we go.
Yeah, so much. There's so much there in this clip. So I mean, I got a page of notes again, and I watched this clip like hundreds of times. I've easily shared it with thousands of people. Love it.
Yeah, no, me too. And a lot of it is about making the most out of the hours you have, right?
That's it.
And so can you kind of wrap that up more?
Yeah, and so let's talk about big companies and small companies, because
There you go.
this is a reality today, right? And so he said, well, if I'm in a startup and I need to make 100 decisions, like if you're in your first 90 days, right, you're making lots and lots of decisions. But if you've been in business for a year now, that's not what he's talking about. That's not a startup. You still have to make 2 or 3 like really important decisions a week. And you have to start acting like a bigger company if you want to become a bigger company. Very few people become a big company and then backfill big company systems, backfill big company decision making processes. You have to start making decisions like a bigger company to grow into becoming a bigger company. But this is a real challenge for owner operators, like especially in solar, especially coming off of 2023. Like it was a really, really challenging year. And so if you're a sales company or you're an install company, chances are right now in April, you're spending 40 to 60 hours a week, like working in your business. You're working hard. And if you're married, and if you have kids, you got other commitments. And if you're doing it right, your business is in third place. And so, if you fill in the hours, like this is how I coach all my leaders. I say, go to your wife and put all the events in for the next 90 days, right? Put in all the birthday parties, put in all the trips, put in date nights. Now put in your whole kid schedules, like all the sporting events you want to make, all the practice, like put in daddy daughter dates, put in father son dates. And when you put those obligations first and you look after sleep, he talks about sleep, and you have to, you really have to get 6 to 8 hours worth of sleep to really be productive if you're working in your business or if you're making decisions. So even the mental side requires a lot of sleep. And so when you put that in there, there really isn't more than 60 or so hours left every week. Like that's what we have. And if you were to tell, right, that the challenge that a small business owner operator is he or she has to start being the executive of the company who is responsible for making good decisions every week, and they're still the chief revenue officer, right? Or they're still the chief, the CEO and the lead accountant, right? Like they have multiple jobs. They probably have more than one job in their company that they're doing 50, 60 hours a week. And so what happens is they kick the can down the road on decisions that are actually more important than the work hours. So like people can make 4 or 5 decisions at SolarCon that could impact their EBITDA or their growth by more than their hours, but they're afraid if they stop working the hours, there won't be a company left. And the thing is, they're right. And so it feels like you're in a no-win situation, but it's not true. There are events like this, or you could put together masterminds like this. You can build your own network. Like we could do a different call on like how if you're in an isolated area and you can't go to an industry trade event, then like here's how you build this network in your own community. But in fact, you and Jake have done this for all of this. And it's not the same that it was 3 years ago. It's like last year was blown away because last year it was by far the best residential event in solar, like hands down. Like it was such a big jump from year 1, year 2. And like what you've shown on the lineup, like it's now like a can't miss event. Here's what we can all do. Like I'm doing this now. I've started a new solar company. I'm doing this for a software company. I'm bringing 2 different companies to SolarCon, and we have all a list of decisions that we are trying to make at your event that we're going to live and die with over the next 12 months until the next event and see if we have to change those decisions. And so we can literally use this event to compress time. There are like I think people don't need to understand from a business perspective, like the logic and the reasoning that has gone into this event. If Jake and Joe and the other SolarCon members, like if they just let anybody register for the event, right? If they just posted, we're doing this event, and people read it, there would be like an over density of certain exhibitors. Like that's not what's happened here. They've marketed this event to accounting firms, to software companies, to finance partners, to equipment partners, to swag companies, to marketing companies, to recruiting companies. Literally, like everything, every single area of a solar business. If you're a vertically integrated company or a sales or install company, like every single part of our daily business is represented at SolarCon, oftentimes with 2 to 3 different options. So we can, in 3 days, we can spend a compressed time to do evaluations, compare and contrast. We can get third-party testimonials. We can do due diligence on decisions we're trying to make. We can do SWOT analysis. We can make a decision. And then here's what's really great. When you make decisions quickly like this, you can document why you made the decisions. Here's what every CEO that's coming to SolarCon needs to do. They need to make a list of the decisions that they've been delaying ahead of time, right? Like what equipment
Yes.
should we go with, right? What financing partners are we missing, right? Like what gaps are there in our software? Like if you're using cash accounting, you need to make a financial decision there because you cannot grow a solar company with cash-based accounting. So you need to find an accounting firm, and I know there's accounting firms there. If there's a lot if you don't have a lease option right now, you're missing out. All the companies I know, like they're 85-90% leased right now. If you only have one lease product, you need to come to SolarCon. You need to get on board with a lease company. And here's the best part is because this is such a specific tactical, like data driven industry event, the decision makers are there. Like at the last one, I'll sit down with the VP of business development for Good Leap. I'll sit down with Dustin Manzel. Like, this guy can make things happen. Like,
Oh yeah.
I talked to like Nick Alexander, president of Solar Edge at the last one. Like people are there, right? Like that can make big decisions and that can facilitate things. And like decisions have been made. I've sent text messages at SolarCon which have created transactional outcomes like before lunchtime, like in the morning. Like it's hugely possible. But I want to really speak to like this industry event, like the largest CEOs in this industry, they can make these things happen 24/7. The real value here is like to the small and medium-sized business owner who really has to spend the time in their business or the business could evaporate. And so like really like this is your I cannot tell you enough. Like this is the event. Like make a list of the decisions that have been weighing in the balance. Make a list of the things that you have a bad feeling about in your business that you want to have like redundancy in. Don't just take your sales leaders to this event. Like there is educational events that are extremely important at this event. You want to take someone in permitting. You want to take somebody in operation and
Yes.
installs. You want to take someone from your company responsible for your accounting services. You want to take someone that's responsible for financial pull through. One of the biggest problems right now is people going all in with one finance provider, and then something changes with that finance provider and companies. I mean, like I have a good friend, and I don't want to say his company, but like he was all in with one finance provider, and this company was in business for 15 years, and was not at the end of 1 week worth of build up. And so like this is a year where you can get the decisions made, you can create the redundancies, you can create the problems in a compressed timeline. You can document who you talked to, why you made this decision. So if a year from now it wasn't the right decision or it wasn't perfect, you can go, okay, well, you don't beat yourself up. I mean, here's the thing. None of us make perfect decisions. I used to do this at Lumio all the time where I document why I made the decision, who are the other CEOs I talked to about the decision. And this is really good. So that 6 months later, a year later, I'm not beating myself up. I'm like, no, well, this was good logic was used here. Good reason was used here, right? Like I make little mini decision committees. You can literally do that. This is what I would do. Like, at Lumio, I had to decide like NetSuite or Salesforce. Right, the company was going public. We were crushing. Like we had to go with a big enterprise option. I spent like 6 months on that one decision, Joe. And I talked to, the chief information officer of like the largest companies in our space, and interviewed a lot of people. And at the end of the day, like everybody was split 50-50. But because I had that there, my team, right? Like if I had chosen the wrong one, I could at least go to my team and I could say something like, listen, I talked to these 6 people at SolarCon at all the same event. It was all relevant information. These were the people I included in the decision. Like these are the people I talked to, and you can at least have a track record of what was done, right? And the efforts that were made to make the decision. And this is really important because, memories make liars of us all. And it's really easy to
So
second guess
true.
ourselves a year later, or 2 years
Yeah.
later. Here's the deal. All of us have decisions that we all delay in making. We need to take a real serious look at these decisions as small business operators. You need to come with the team that can help you make those decisions. Spend 3 days, get those decisions made, live with it, and then go to work in April, May, and June and make this year a win. That's my recommendation on how to maximize this event.
I love that. And if you don't mind, a couple more of your minutes, and I wanted to follow up on a couple of points to give even more depth because I talked to you, you give me a lot of advice, and some of the advice you give about how you actually make meetings. I think you're one of the best at that because you're not just going to SolarCon and being like, okay, who's here? You guys want to meet up? Like you're going, like looking, say who's coming, who's going to SolarCon. You look at the list of sponsors on the website. All right, cool. SolarEdge is going to be there. Enphase is going to be there. Whatever it is, and then you start figuring out who can I meet with, and then you start
Right.
getting those meetings ready. I'm butchering it, but can you just give a little bit more about how you do that?
Well, that's a great call out, Joe, because because of the specificity of this event for residential solar, big companies send decision makers or people that can approve decisions there, and their time is going to get used up. SolarCon publishes the list of all the exhibitors. I'm networking now. I'm talking now. Like I have like more than half of all 3 days like already scheduled, right? And some meetings I want to book back to back because it helps me remember, helps me compare and contrast. I also get to bring people into my meetings. So like John Frampton's a good friend, runs a separate company. I don't get to work with him on a daily basis anymore, like I did at Lumio. Like I would pull him into conversations on the fly because I'm like, hey, what do you think of this? Like, this is what I'm thinking about. And so if I schedule meetings ahead of time and to help me make all the decisions that I need to make for the year, right, that I can improve my company, and I call the vendors, I call my friends, I network ahead of time, I fill up my schedule, then as I'm walking through the trade show, the things I can do spur of the moment is I can include other people in the meetings, right? I already know where I'm going. It's like, it can be 12 o'clock. I see John, I'm like, hey, John, I got a 2 o'clock. Can you come with me for 15 minutes? Like, I'd really like to get your take on this person, this company, this application. And I already had value scheduled for the meeting, but you get 2 or 3 other minds like that in your meeting, and you've just tripled the value of the decision that is going to be made in that meeting.
100%. And not only that, like not everybody wants to go for meetings. They don't care. They're going to make content, or they want to meet people, or they want to get their autograph of Gary Vee or whatever. People have their own things, right? But like for me, if I'm going to a conference, I'm gonna get content out of it. I promise you that. To get all these influencers, all these people on social media, all these top CEOs, like all they have in the same room, people have the ability to get your phone out and do a testimonial or make some kind of interview. Talk a little bit about that, the opportunity to actually just make content.
Well, I mean, my team's actually been meeting about this nonstop for the last couple of weeks because one of the frustrations for me has been there's such an emphasis on content. Content has produced outcomes for people that aren't real in this industry, and it's sad, but there's a lot of people that just want to work with a company that has great content, or they think the quality of the content is the value of the company, and that's the generation we're in. Like there's like millennials right now are 70% of the workforce. They're 24 to 42 years old. They are 70% of Goldman Sachs, and they are 70% of Walmart. They're 70% of the workforce, and this is who we're going to hire. This is who we're going to build with. They watch 6 hours worth of content a day. They watch 85% of it on subtitles. And so even like my own uploads that you've seen on Facebook over the last couple, like I know this, I'm like, man, I need to work on my content. I need to put the subtitles on there. I've been frustrated with this area of the business, but I've recently made a huge commitment. So you're going to see more from me, because the reality is there's a lot of old school people like me. Like I'm 47, and I'm like, kind of like rolling my eyes at the content producers because there's so much air behind a percentage of them, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm not throwing shade at anybody. I'm just saying there's a lot of people telling people how to build businesses out there that never built business. Okay.
100% true.
And so, and but this is the world we live in. Like, this is how people learn. This is how people digest. Like, when a millennial wants to learn how to tie a tie, they go to YouTube and they search how to tie a tie, and they don't memorize the process 6 months later when they're going to a different event. They search for the same video. If we're going to be relevant today, we have to produce content. We have to have a commitment to producing content. And this is actually a hard pill that I've been swallowing over the last 6 months because there was a time where content was really created for me, and I had thousands of employees and things, and it was easy. And now that I'm getting back in it and starting a smaller software company and the other things, it's work. It's a lot of work to do. But you guys have the cool thing about this event is we can create like 2 or 3 months of really great content. I love the men and women that are setting up podcasts. You don't have a booth to have to set up a podcast. Will Emmerich sets up his podcast in the aisle. He has a cameraman walk around with him, and he produces content, and I'll see him slow roll that content for months, right? Like the interviews in the aisles and the things like that. I mean, you can just stop, and because everybody has to produce content, like a lot of people are open to it. Like, I mean, I know I don't even remember the names of everybody I shot a video with at SolarCon last time. It was like dozens of people, and good for them. Like they got the sound bite, they got the video bite. Like we all need to do it, because the people that we all need to hire, the people we need to hire in roofing, the people we need to hire in permitting, people we need to hire in customer service and sales, 70% of the workforce makes their decision on where to work and who to work with based on the content they watch online. And so it's just the reality of it. So it's a great event to create like months worth of content around, and I need to get better at it. So
but you have to go with a plan, right? It's the same thing about meetings and about content, collaboration or interviews. And imagine getting, 30 testimonials from the most popular people on social media that's talking about your product, your company, or about you. How many places can you be able to utilize that, right? And one more thing I want to really bring up, I think is maybe more valuable than anything else we talked about, is the amount of trainings that's going to be available at SolarCon. It's going to be jam-packed for all 3 days, like, especially the breakout rooms. And there's not enough time or ability to even be able to watch all the amazing speakers, experts, trainers, coaches that we have, right? So you have to go into it with a plan. And Jonathan is going to be speaking too in one of the breakout rooms. So if you want to watch Jonathan, you may not be able to watch some of the other breakout rooms, right? So that's going to be a big part of what you want to listen to. But also, like Jonathan, you were talking about a great plan. Well, maybe your team doesn't go all to the same, all go to see Jonathan. Maybe one person from that team goes to see Jonathan, then one person goes to see the social media panel, whatever else panels are going on. You were telling me about it. Can you unpack that a little bit more too?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the difference of like going to Disneyland for one day or going to Disney World for a week, right? Like you can go to Disneyland for one day and not have a plan, right? And have a good time. True. But have you ever tried to go to like Orlando and not have a plan? Like there's too much there. You just miss it, right? Like you got to go with someone that like has it all planned out to really get all of it. And there's time to do this. I mean, like, you published all the exhibitors, you published all the breakouts
and the agenda.
Yeah. If look, I'd love the support, but if you come as a team of 4 and all 4 of you sit in my meeting, you've really lost opportunity. Everybody should go. You should have it mapped down ahead of time of who's going to be where so that you can coordinate your appointments with vendors and recruits and new hires around the meetings that you want to do. You should have a team schedule of where everybody's going to be and get the content. Everybody should record whatever meeting they go to. They could, like it's so easy to record it on video and audio so that they can share that data later. I mean, there's, many years ago, you go to a conference like this and, it'd all be the same category of people on the stage. And what is really incredible, and hats off to you, to your whole team, Joe. I mean, like, I've never seen a more diverse lineup. I can honestly say that. I've never seen a more diverse lineup of people that actually hold different daily roles, right? Like their daily expertise is like so widespread this time around. Like there's so much value. Like I'm bringing a massive thing. I'm bringing dozens and dozens of people for my company, and I'm giving them instructions to all have their plan to plan it out. Planning our own events around it too. I mean, like we're doing a lot around this event.
Yeah, this year especially, we're having a lot of leaders, executives coming, CEOs of Sunlight and Mosaic and Enphase, founders of Enphase. Like we're getting like the top execs to come on these panels and speak. And you want to make sure you know which ones you want to get to. Imagine missing out on the storage panel because you didn't know about it, right? And that to me is huge. So on the agenda right now, what I would suggest is print it out and go through each breakout. There's 4 breakout rooms this year with 4 different panels or speakers going at the same time. So I would actually go ahead, plan it out with your team, or if you're going solo, pick the ones you want to go to ahead of time. You're going to make so much more out of the event. Jonathan, man, anything else? You're always providing so much value. I really, really appreciate you. And like, you're such an every topic you could just go on and have so much value. So any last thoughts, anything you want to leave with the community, specifically or especially about making the most out of conferences in SolarCon?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's exactly like you said. I mean, most knowledge is acquired really expensively, which is why your community is so valuable. Like you had so many great people on Facebook and LinkedIn and through your community that have real experience to offer us. I mean, I was just like what you're talking about 10 years ago. I'd go to a conference, spend 3 days, take a couple meetings, like party a little bit, like hang out late at night, like do an IV in the morning so I could do it all again. And then the meeting the weekend would be over, and I didn't feel like I got really what I went there for. And at some point, when your business starts growing, the time of that event becomes so expensive. I think I would like to end actually on what Bezos ended with, which is someone came up and told him congratulations on the quarter, and he said, I cooked that 2 years ago. So check this out. This is the thing that's so hard about being a small business. You have to have multiple jobs in your company. You're working 40 to 60 hours, trying to keep your commitments to your family, your children, all your other things, your health. You're trying to build your business, and you have to be an executive in your company making good decisions. And you have to start cooking something today that's going to help you in 2 or 3 years from now. What I would ask everybody is, what are you working on today that's going to make a huge impact in your company in 2 to 3 years? Because those things don't just happen. And if you have a good list, go to SolarCon and inch that forward. And if you don't have something on your list, go to SolarCon and find out what's on other people's lists. Ask other people, what are you working on that's going to make a huge impact in your business in 2 or 3 years?
Hell yeah. Really appreciate you, Jonathan. Like always, you're the man. Can't wait to see you at SolarCon. Jonathan will be at SolarCon. He's going to be speaking on that breakout panel and on the main stage for a few minutes to get the word out. Anything we should expect, Jonathan? I'm really excited to hear you. I know that you have so much knowledge. What are you going to be focusing on, when you're speaking at SolarCon before we leave?
I'm gonna try to I know I got 5 minutes. I'm gonna try to bring the house down. Like, Sam Taggart follows me, and he's good enough to hold the house to hold the whole roof up by himself and do his pitch. So I'm gonna try to bring the roof down in 5 minutes. No, actually, in my breakout session, I'm gonna be really dry and I'm gonna be really direct, and I'm gonna just show people real life conversations between AI and humans, and I'm gonna show people deals that were canceled that were saved, people that didn't want to schedule an appointment that scheduled an appointment 6 months later, people that saw a proposal and no one followed up with them and they bought 4, 5, 6 months later because the AI stayed in touch with them. I'm going to show them how much it costs. I'm going to show them how the appointments have cost 30 to 40 cents to $2 or $3, and deals have cost 10 to 20 bucks. Like, imagine having an employee that could keep in touch with a potential customer for 9 months, and then that customer buys, and your total cost to that employee was like $2 to $20. And that employee will never leave you for a lower red line, will never take people with you, will get better at their job every month, and that employee could be live for you in less than 30 days. I'm going to talk about how every single person should invest in their first AI employee, and they should have an AI budget. And I'm going to show what that AI employee can do inside of Solar. Not someday, maybe, not with hype. I'm just going to go through like as many conversations as I can in 40 minutes. It's going to blow people's minds. I've been digging through all of our conversations that Annie's been having last 30 days, and it's blowing my mind. Like I'm seeing things that are just like she's performing seriously better than any employee I've had in this role ever. Like turning no's into yeses. And just so we have real life use cases behind Facebook, we got real life use cases at the door, and we got real life use cases with age data. So I can tell people what it costs, what it's going to do for them. You know, and if you don't have something that you're cooking up for 2 to 3 years, I'll show you what I'm cooking up.
Yeah, and SolarCon is using it too. Amazing. I appreciate you partnering us with that. And we've been utilizing ourselves, and maybe we can use it at SolarCon as a SolarCon liaison. So it's been amazing to be able to utilize it.
Yeah. Thanks, man. I appreciate you. I miss you. I'm sorry we lost you from Utah. I can't wait to wrap my arms around you.
You too, man.
It'll be good to see you in a few weeks, man.
I appreciate you. Jonathan Gibbs, everybody. We are out, guys. Later.